is Jody Wayne, and I work in transfusion medicine, part of Department of Laboratory Medicine and Pathology at Mayo Clinic. Today I'm going to introduce you to the ABORH lab test, and let's get started. In your materials, you'll see that there's an instructor guide with pages 1 through 8 for the instructor, and then student handouts, which are pages 9 through 14. Feel free to make as many copies as you need. Next up, let's talk about setting up the ABORH laboratory activity with the materials listed on page 1. You will see that you need citric acid and water to make the antisera. You will then need milk and red dye to make the red cell sample source, dropper bottles for the samples and antisera, a tray for sample testing, and then paper towels and water for cleanup. All right, let's start by getting the teacher setup part of the laboratory experiment ready. Use your instructions on page 2 under Assembling the Reagents and Samples section. All right, so we're going to create a reagent antisera first. We are going to mix 1 teaspoon of citric acid to 100 milliliters of water. Take your water source and pour it into the container labeled citric acid mixture for reagent antisera. There are designations on the side for how much should go in here, and we want 100 milliliters, so up to the top. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of citric acid powder directly to the water. You then can put on the cap and mix. Mix up and down so it is completely dissolved. We are then going to divide this into the bottles labeled on the table designated as CA for citric acid. So in your table, you'll see, for example, that in our example sample, CA is going to go into the reagent bottle anti-A as well as the reagent bottle anti-D. We will continue this with samples 1 through 8, again in any of the bottles that are labeled CA. You can either pipette or pour this mixture into those bottles. We are going to divide this mixture evenly between the bottles. It does not have to be exact. The students only need a few drops for each one. So again, you can pipette, or if you have a more steady hand, you can pour it into the bottle. Once you have the bottles filled, you will then add the dropper top to each bottle. Okay, next we're going to move on to step 1B. We are going to add water to the bottles on the table below designated water, H2O. There should be 13 bottles. So for example, on sample example, reagent anti-B, that one says H2O. So we will add water to that one, followed by sample 1, anti-A, etc. So again, you can either use a pipette to put the water in, or you can simply pour. You do want to have the volume about the same amount in the bottle that you did for the ones that you had the citric acid mixture in, so that the students aren't aware of any differences between the two types of bottles. All right, now we're going to move on to step 2. We are going to create the simulated red cell patient samples. The amount you need really depends on how many students. Each student only needs a few drops. We have provided shelf-stable milk for you to use. I have already put that into this container just for easiness sake. Any milk will work if you don't want to use this. We're going to add red dye to this milk sample so that it looks pink, a little bit more like blood. It only takes 1 or 2 drops. Make sure you shut the lid on that tight so we don't have dye everywhere. And then you can give this a nice little shake to put the red dye in there. At this point, we are going to divide it up into sample bottles 1 through 8, all the way through 8, and including our example sample. Again, you can aliquot with a pipette or simply pour into your bottle. Once the milk is all poured in the sample bottles, cap them with the dropper tops. Once all the samples are divided, you will set them aside, although do note that all the samples are the same. So patient 1, patient 2, they're all the same. What will be different to give you different results between patients is that the antisears have the citric acid mixture and some have the water mixture. So it's important that you do not share that hint with the students so that they do not know the samples are the same. Okay, now we are on step 3. We are going to set up the stations for the students. The kit has provided enough for samples to be stations 1 through 8 for at least 30 students. Each station will have a set of antiserous, anti-A, B, and D, with the corresponding sample. Note that the numbers all need to match. So here we have sample number 1, and all the antisera bottles say that they are for sample number 1. You will have the same thing for station 2, and we've provided an example set for the teacher to demonstrate. At the station, besides those, the students will also have a tray for the reactions to occur in, as well as paper towel and water for cleanup. Alternatively, the students can go to a sink and use the water and paper towels there instead of at the individual station. This concludes the teacher setup portion of this laboratory exercise. Of note, you can do this setup 1 to 2 days prior to the laboratory if you desire. Learning objectives for this whole learning in session are found on page 2. Objectives 1, 2, and 3 go with the direct instruction material provided for the instructor on pages 3 through 5. This material can be delivered ahead of time or right before the laboratory experiment. Objective 4, identify the ABRH type in simulated patient samples, will be provided at the same time as the laboratory experiment. Okay, now we are going to move on to doing the ABRH lab activity with the students. Teacher instructions can be found on page 7 with the key to the worksheet found on page 8. Students will use their worksheet on page 13 of their materials. Okay, so we are going to want to do step 9, record the results on our table on the worksheet. So you'll note that both the students and the instructor have the answers already pre-filled on their worksheet. So example should have a positive with the anti-A reagent as well as the anti-D reagent. Anti-B is noted as negative. So this is where you can point out to the students what, again, the differences of a positive versus a negative look like. The positive have a little bit more of a swirl, kind of clump to it, where the negative is nice and smooth. The students will record a plus when they see a positive, a 0 when they see a negative. And again, everyone has on their worksheets example 1 already pre-filled so that you know the difference between a positive and a negative. Then we'll move on to step 10, interpret your result. If the sample reacts with the reagent antisera, thus giving you a positive, your patient has the antigen, resulting in the corresponding blood type. So an example, they react with the anti-A, they have the A antigen. They do not react with anti-B, they do not have the B antigen, and they are reacting with anti-D, so they do have the D antigen, meaning they're Rh positive. So a final interpretation in the blood type column will be A positive for this patient, example patient. The students will then perform the activities, rotating through stations 1 through 8, recording their results and interpreting as they go. When they are done, they can wash the trays up and clean up the station. Okay, once the students are done with their laboratory activity, they will move on to the self-reflection piece on page 14 of their worksheet. There are no right or wrong answers for those questions, but it is points for discussion with the student and the teacher. Okay, after conclusion of the laboratory exercise, there is a little post-class work for the teacher. You do need to make sure that all of the trays will be washed out and dry, as well as each of the bottles for the antisera and patient samples are washed out with water and allowed to dry. Once those bottles are dry, they can be returned to the kit for storage. Thank you. If the students or you as a teacher would like more information, in the resources section, which is on the final page of both the teacher and student information, you can find more information on blood typing, medical laboratory science, as well as the Mayo Clinic Laboratory Science Program.